move to open session.
I second. Do we need a roll call vote on that?
Making a motion.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we will return to item number 3 on our agenda. And if we can find Mr. Drent.
Thank you, sir. I go see Dale. Was he over with you at the office?
No, I went up to the LEC and was trying to.
Oh, okay. He went over to the office.
All right, see you tomorrow.
All right, we'll see you in the morning. Mr. Wicken, in respect of time, can we table that one for right now? And quiet for all day and see where he's at?
Okay. Item number 3 on the agenda will be temporarily tabled. We'll move to item number 4 on the agenda, discussion and approval of CCD 009, and I call on Shane Albrecht, who's on the phone. He'll be off in a second.
Seriously.
It's crazy.
Cookie cake.
Dale's response was, I'm on a call for it then. Okay.
So we're on item number 4.
Yes. Do we need to wait for Supervisor Warner to get done talking to John A. Temple? Question.
We have a majority in here.
Yeah, we can proceed.
So CCD 9, CCD 9 is, was issued and signed by the chair. CCD 9 is in response to PR 38, and it is for 1 fire damper, 1 motorized damper, and 1 diffuser. And we needed to keep the project moving, so we issued the CCD to keep it going. Any questions?
And this is in the kitchen.
This deals with, no, it's the fire damper's in the kitchen area, right? Come on, Kevin.
So the
Name,
fire.
please.
Sorry, Kevin Ross, Goldberg Group Architects, St. Joseph, Missouri. So the fire damper was one located on the south wall between booking and intake and the corridor between there and the Sheriff's Administration Office. It was one that everybody had missed, including the inspector. To come up by Suter after they were trying to button up some stuff in that area. The motorized damper is for the makeup air intake duct in the back side of the laundry area for the dryers, for the clothes dryers. And then the 1 diffuser that was added is in the back of the medical cell chase area. So there was a tap there, but no diffuser, so buttoned up a few loose items there.
So it was missed by the inspector, but the suitor found it?
Correct. Yeah, it was missed by our engineers as well as the inspector.
Okay, thank you. We need to move approval. I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. That's a 3-0. Very good, thank you. Item number 5 on the agenda is discussion and approval of the contract with Resource Consulting Engineers. And again, I'll call on Shane Albrecht to discuss that, please.
Yeah, so, right now, we have signed a contract for $9,400, is that correct?
I believe that is a correct number, yes.
And the Chair, I'd like to give
Yes.
you that. I've already given it to Karen, so that's why I didn't have a copy. I would like to give you this contract and have you enter that into the record, please.
Okay.
I'll move to receive.
Second? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
And let's make sure we get that up on the,
I've already given that to Karen to.
She has it.
okay, sweet, good. Just want to make sure it gets on the website,
Yep.
so.
She's got it.
And I'm sorry, it's not in your backup, guys, but here's the actual contract. I only have one. This is the one I gave to Karen to get uploaded. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. questions? So basically, this is a contract for review of items in ASI 10, is how this started, and review of anything else the authority would like to have reviewed after that. Are you okay, Mr. Boyd?
I am.
So this is, we retain
For your
them,
review and file.
for the review of ASI 10 to help get that stuff moving forward and keep that moving. Any questions on that? Anybody else have any questions?
No, I was just waving to Dan, so.
You do too have a question, Councilman, you ask me another question?
Oh, I guess, in your experience, in your work experience and your work history, have you had to, hire an outside engineer in the middle of the project?
No, sir.
Okay.
Is that a photocopy?
This is a copy of that contract.
Yeah, that's the photocopy you have the original.
Okay, I was making.
Well, I think it's important that,
Oh, okay.
I think it's important that he does that review on ASI 10. And then we can direct him after that if we have anything else we need him to review. So I appreciate you reaching out to him. And this guy, this firm has done work for the county?
Yes.
That's okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
I would just comment on the little bit of history that I've had with the firm. He's on top of it. He's actually gotten this information sooner than what we expected to have it.
Then I would move approval.
Second?
Second?
Okay. All in favor, aye?
Second that? Go ahead.
You can do it, you can do it. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
You got that, Karen?
Passes 3-0.
Sorry, I better get my.
The deal is back, so now we,
Aye.
Kevin, can we ask you, and we'll step back to the maintenance fund?
Okay, so we'll move back to item number 3 on the agenda, discussion on the LEC Maintenance Fund, and we will ask Dale Drent to return to the microphone, please.
Good afternoon. Dale Drent, Baker Group, Ankeny, Iowa.
So I didn't know if anybody had any further questions for Dale. I assume both you and Dan have scored your sheets. This was a discussion item only,
Yep.
and we need some direction, because we're in budget time right now. We need some direction as far as how we should proceed. Or any questions for Dale?
ACT,
Acoustical ceiling tile,
okay. And then elevator SC.
service contract.
Oh, okay. I guess I've got my sheet scored. Shane, do you want to take this and look through it? Or Ron, who do you want these?
You may give them to Shane, and he will put them with the others that we've done.
Dale, you said earlier that we've got about as in-depth of a plan, kind of estimates, foreshadow of what we could expect running this thing. I guess that's great to hear, you know, I mean,
Sure.
It's a big investment for the
Huge.
county, and
Yep.
we want to not repeat the sins of the past, and so I think it's important that we have that, so I appreciate your work, and I appreciate you've been here several times to talk about this, so
Certainly.
I appreciate that, so,
Happy to help.
thank you.
You bet.
Okay, any other,
ACT was that college test that I had to take.
It is. It's, yeah.
anything else you'd like to cover on item number 3, Shane?
Yeah, I kind of, before we leave item number 3, I kind of like to know, Kenny, could you come up? I've already received your sheet, both of your sheets. Is there, I'm going to ask Kenny, Ron, and I'm going to ask you a question, okay? Where do you want us to head next? We brought Dale in to advise kind of what he thinks. You provided your sheet. We've met and talked about this a lot. What's everybody's, what do you feel our next step in this is?
Well, I think the end goal, or the next step is to assure that we're providing the proper money or cash flow that this facility is going to need in the future. I think that's something that we promised early on, even prior to the vote for the bond issue, that we said we were going to take care of this. That was a promise that we made. The next step is how we get there. I think the authority and the county jointly need to come to an agreement on how they're going to provide that funding, so that that funding is put into place, I guess I'll say it, in an ironclad manner, so it's available. I think one of the ways to do that is to start a discussion on a certain amount of money on certain items that the county will pay for under operating expenses on that facility. And once that limit is met, those items would need to be paid for out of a maintenance fund. And so I just think we need to set those limits. We talked about this before, and we talked about a $25,000 threshold. I think that's a good place to start. $25,000 is not a lot of money. It's a very small amount of money, actually, in today's world when it comes to replacing or rebuilding items. Actually, it's a very small amount. Over at the current LEC, I have 2 compressors, air conditioning compressors that are out. In other words, they are not working and they need to be repaired and or replaced. One of them is $32,000. I've been sitting on that little nest egg not doing anything. So that gives you an idea of, in comparison to what $25,000 would do.
Mr. Wood?
I would agree with Kenny. I think that we need to sit down and look at those numbers. You were talking about numbers earlier. We met with Sheriff Sheehan this morning, spent a couple hours, an hour and a half to 2 hours, going over this process with him also. And one of the things that I am the most concerned about is the sins that were created back in 1985 when that building over there was built. The fact that money was hard to come by, there were corners cut, a lot of things like that, and there was no plans for the future for that building, no maintenance fund. So here we are already, that building's going to be torn down and be gone. We need to work together so that we have a plan in place so that people of Woodbury County know that for decades, this quality building that we're building will remain a quality building through that decades of time. So I would agree with you, Kenny. I would agree that I think we should sit down and we should scope together a plan, if that makes any sense, and then begin a conversation on that specific plan, and we get it in place and we make sure that it's cast in concrete so that no one can ever change what we do, so that building will always be the building that it will be the day we unlock it.
Why this is kind of coming to a head are really important as of today, is on the 23rd, I have a budget hearing for building services budgeting for next year. One of those light items in that budget for the LEC is repairs. And the board will see when they pull up my line items, when they get to the LEC, is I've got a line item in there for repair that was actually set at a projection I had at $53,000. After some conversations that we had prior to this at the last minute, I added $25,000 to that and put a note on it off to the side that said, this may be money that the LEC authority may be requesting, and or there may be an agreement attached to this. That's why it's there. We will be talking about it when we hit that line item in my budget. So, and that's on the 23rd.
So one of the things that I listen to a bunch of people outside, this is your guys' stuff, so I got really no dog in this fight, okay? Trying to advise and help you. One of the things that I did here today, and I've heard it previously, but today. Your mic, please. One of the things that I did here today, and I've heard previously, was 25,000 is fine, but we need to look at a cap. So, like your health insurance or whatever, you have a maximum out-of-pocket expense of X. So you just need to set the recommendation recommendation was you need to set a maximum out-of-pocket expense before it comes back to the authority for maintenance fund. So that was just something that was brought up today, that again, whatever you guys choose to do, you do, but that was one of their suggestions, was a maximum out-of-pocket expense before the maintenance fund is what is paying for those things, in case you had $10,000, $25,000 incidents, you know, in a year, with something of that nature to assure, you know, that we're being good stewards of the money and stuff.
I agree with Chairman Ron with his comments. We did expressly represent to the public that we would not make the same mistakes as in the past. And that's not to be judgmental about anybody. Money was tight, budgets were tight. There are probably a lot of reasons why the building that we have now it can't be used. I mean, that's what we said. It's going to be falling down. So Dale, I'm so glad you talked about the life of certain things, what the life expectancy is, and you add inflation to that, you're going to make sure you've got the money there. I probably won't be around in 10 years or 20 years, but others will be. And we just don't want to put the Kennys of the world in the same spot they're in today, or the public. And so Ron, I agree with your comments, with what you're saying. And again, you're not being judgmental, you're not
No.
being critical. That's the reality. That's part of what sold this, really. I mean, it's some of us that went out and said, there's really no choice here. We're really hurting.
And that's part of my stake in the game. My stake in the game is this. In 15 or 20 years down the road, if this facility is not taken care of, they're going to say, boy, that Kenny Schmidt sure did a bad job of taking care of this place. It's falling apart. I hate to see any talk like that. We currently have some buildings where we have issues in the county already. Now, certainly I can say that, hey, I haven't been here, for 20 years, but I've been here a good amount of time, and I've said it before, I believe there's a better way to take care of our facilities.
One of the things that I would say, and this follows up with Commissioner Moore, when we did the referendum, when we went to the people of Woodbury County, we told them that we would stand by this entire project until the end so that we had the project done properly and that we did not have problems because of decisions made, and we're doing that. We are standing by what we told the people of Woodbury County. I think the other piece that fits that is that we have a plan and process to make sure that it continues on down the road the way that we build it. And that's my commitment.
Something I'll add, and it's just kind of echoing what people are saying already. The cheapest way to own a building long-term is to maintain it properly. The most expensive way is to neglect it, and then you build a building in 1985 and you have to tear it down. That's a really expensive way to own a building long-term. The challenge is setting up a budget structure that survives an election cycle, because 30 years from now, the number of elections that are going to happen in between now and 30 years from now, and setting up some structure that is untouchable, so to speak, so that funds are there when they're needed. There's nothing glamorous about running a campaign on having a really solid operations budget. There's no glamour there, right? No, that's a very boring topic. But the cheapest way to own a building long-term is to have, take care of it, and when it takes finances to take care of it properly, and oversight of how the finances are being used. But the most well-intended, skilled craftspeople that don't have the funding to replace systems, compressors when they go down, if the funding just isn't there, well, I've never met every facilities person I've met is well-intended, and I've never met somebody that's intentionally out to sabotage a building, but I've met plenty of facilities people who are well-intended, but their organization doesn't have the funding to keep systems maintained, especially something like a roofing membrane. You neglect a roofing membrane, and instead of patching it, you wait until it has a catastrophic failure inside the building. You could have spent $2,500 on the roofing membrane but you wait until you got a $50,000 emergency situation. So we want to do everything we can to help paint that picture and then set you guys up for success to be able to understand financially what's on the horizon. And then, again, I said it earlier, you guys have done a better job than any other, certainly county group that I've worked with as it relates to understanding what that looks like, so.
And Chairman Wick, just for the media in the room that we entered some new items in the record on this worksheet, and then kind of a checklist of some repair maintenance type items. So just so that you're aware, I don't know if we have any other copies up there, but just wanted them to be aware since they weren't here earlier, so.
Okay, do we believe then that we have a plan to move forward?
I mean, we're gonna be making up as we go this first year. I think the 25,000 is reasonable, Kenny. I mean, it's a starting point. We may have to adjust it up next. I mean, we're learning, right? I mean, I think we've got a good basis. We can look through these sheets. Did you fill yours out, Dan?
I did, and I turned it over to Shane.
Yeah, so you guys can regurgitate that, kind of see what we're thinking, and you know.
Julie's calling back and he was answering it, and I did something right here.
So, no,
We'll work forward on that then.
yeah, yep.
And I might have been a tad naive at one time because I thought the authority commissioners could work with the Board of Supervisors. But with some of the issues that are going on, there's been some tension and a strain there. Because really, how long is the authority? What's the life of the authority? 30 years?
Well,
Or is it
technically, till the building's paid off, and then,
till the building's paid off?
so it could be 18 or 20 years.
But once that occurs, don't all of our funds, all of our assets
Turns over.
turned over to the county?
That is correct, yes.
So we're really working hand in hand, I think.
Oh, I think we are too.
But we, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I believe that.
So because, I don't want to sound defensive, Chairman Ron, but the lease is, the wording of the lease is pretty darn good on the maintenance fund.
Yep, yeah,
And it would work if you had, I mean, I love serving with you and with you because we can just talk openly, figure things out. But I think the lease provisions are really pretty good.
I do too.
Judy?
Yeah, thanks.
And this sheet was, so the form that you filled out for Shane, that you tried to sign off on, which would be a county and/or an authority cost. That's similar to why I built this sheet. Most people don't understand the difference between operating cost, cash reserve, or a capital expenditure. If you look through this sheet, it helps to try to for you to try to understand the things that you were checking off on the other form and how they all kind of blend, can blend together, or one can turn into the next item, and how those costs differentiate.
Yep.
Can I speak a little bit about the sheets?
Go.
And keeping everybody anonymous, I'm not gonna say it. From everybody that sat to fill out these sheets, you all have some very similar things that you put for maintenance funds stuff, but, a lot of everybody differentiates between what is a county expense and what's an authority expense. So one of the reasons why we talked about a dollar amount, because the dollar amount's simple. It's not gonna be
Yep.
X, Y, or Z. When we talk about an elevator, service agreement, if you were the owner of a space, as Mark talked, and you guys are just the tenant, right? You'd say, well, the owner's got to cover the elevator expense and the generator expense and all that stuff. But everybody needs to remember our base rent is only to cover the bond payment. The additional rent and the additional money is for the maintenance fund. But you don't have a fund to cover, because you would have a higher base rent you charge somebody if you had to do an elevator, fire alarm, monitoring service, everything. If you were actually looking at this as a true tenant would, you
Yeah,
follow me?
no, I understand.
You would have all those expenses factored in to what you're charging and getting for rent. Because those are a yearly, semi-annual costs that are gonna happen every year. something that's always been in your budget, right?
Right. So what normal, or what other people would call, if you were renting, let's say, in a building, that would be, you'd be paying base rent, and you'd additionally, at the end of the year, you would pay common area expenses.
Yep.
So
I
I
agree.
just wanted to share, because that's one of the things that people say, hey, that should be we're just a tenant here, but you would actually have that factored into your base rent, again. So do we have a consensus of direction where everybody would like to go? And, because we gotta bring this before discussion and approval, so that we can then take it to the Board of Supervisors to agree or disagree.
Tell me if you don't agree, but I think it makes sense for us to sit down, Kenny, and put together a proposal and present it to the authority. Let the authority say yea or nay on that, and then go to the Board of Supervisors with it. I think that makes sense. And that's a way to work our way through the process, I think.
I think that's probably a good next step.
That's fair, yeah,
What's in the details?
Yes,
that's fair.
yes.
I think it's the devil.
All right, very good. That's what we'll do. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Chairman, we have reached a problem. This meeting has ran so long that my computer is completely dead. So all copies of PCO 7, 15, 16, and 18 that I normally would walk through with you.
Do you feel comfortable in verbalizing?
Which of those are, but I'm gonna call Kevin, and hopefully between the two of us, we can figure out what they are. You have copies.
I have
of them.
copies.
Yeah, we've got them in the backup here.
Yeah, so if you hand them to me, I can read them to you and explain them to you. You just can't see.
Okay, so we're going to go to item number 6 on the agenda.
Don't get them out of order.
Yeah.
Item number 6 is discussion and approval of PCOs 107, 115, 116, and 118, and I'll call on Shane Albrecht. And then Shane, when you conclude, do you want to handle those one at a time, or do you want to do them as a group?
Let's do it one at a time like we've always
Okay,
done.
so we will focus on 107 to begin with.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mark's thing, 107 isn't first. Here you go. You got 107.
We'll share, Dan.
All right. So PCO 107, potential change order, is a result of RFI 527, and it's for the kitchen ceilings and security register concerns. Kevin?
So yeah, PCO 107, we had
Name,
four-
please?
Kevin Ross, Goldberg Group Architects, St. Joe, Missouri. So yeah, PCO 7, we had 4 diffusers in the kitchen ceiling for the HVAC system that had to be downsized in order to coordinate with the lay-in ceiling tiles that were in there. So that was the additional cost to revise 4 HVAC diffusers in the kitchen area.
And the cost for this is $1,267.
Any question, gentlemen?
Oh, here it is.
On the backside. None here.
So it's a grand total of $1,267.
Yeah, that's what yes,
Uh,
sir.
I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0. Item 115, please.
Yeah, so PCO 115 is a credit, and
$118 for removal of the installation of the dedication plaque
correct.
at the main entry.
We felt that was something that should be removed, and we could install the dedication plaque ourselves, because we wanted an actual, you guys have worked so hard on this, and when we talked about this, the dedication plaque should be at the ceremony where you guys are actually doing there and all the authority members are present, and you can actually dedicate the plaque and have some words to say and everything, and I thought it was a good thing that you do, kind of like they did when they did the courthouse, a big presentation with the media out there and everything with the plaque in your hand, and then giving it to the director to put, Director Kenny Smiths to install in the building.
I move approval.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Passes 3-0. Item number 116, please.
Dan gave me all these, but I've been keeping them in order too, and there's any more coming.
There aren't?
That's it, that's all you gave me.
Now we gotta give them yours.
We're gonna work
How
through
about
this.
behind?
This is, all that stuff. I don't have 116, I'll give this back to you.
So I don't have the amount, but PCO 116 was for the additional some balancing valves on the snow melt system. Help kind of fine tune that for the snow melt in the sidewalks down around the county attorney's area, the front entry
Sure,
there. So
that's
it's
what I was just gonna ask you, kind of between county attorneys and lower, what do you call it,
Lower C.
Lower C, yep,
Yep, lower
okay.
C and upper C.
Yep.
So yeah, there's some additional balancing valves to help fine tune that system, and I don't have the additional cost on that, but
$2,182.
thank you, Shane.
I'll move
Where did
approval.
you find that?
I'll second that. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0. Thank you. Item number 118.
So PCO 118 was the addition of 2 additional requests to exits. We had 2 areas. I think one was in the armory down in lower C, and I can't recall the other one was on the main floor. We had,
Main floor was back in, like personal property, what it was a door that needed a request to exit,
correct.
or otherwise when you went in there, you were just there.
So yeah, I think we had a keypad on the armory and a prox reader on that, so we had needed to add the request to exit.
Yeah, I remember seeing that on the tour,
Yeah,
that,
remember I told you don't let the doors shut
Yeah.
because you will not get out?
yep.
And the cost of that is $3,697.
I'll move approval.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Passes 3-0. Thank you. That concludes item number 6 on the agenda. Item number 7, information and update on the LEC project. I'll call on Shane Albrecht, and I do have copies of our press release here if you'd like them.
Thank you. Okay,
We need to take these into the record.
Yes.
I'll move to receive.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
You have a couple of extras?
I do, I'll take care of it. I always
Take
do
care
that.
of it.
I always give it to Karen first, then I drop the mic thing on the floor, because anyone you read.
Is he indicating I did that?
You got Karen behind you? All right, so, I normally read this during the update, okay? So, January 16th, press release for immediate release. The authority continues to focus continues working with Hausman and Goldberg Group Architects on the completion of the project. Punch list verification walk was performed by the authority and GGA in County Attorney's Space, Lower C. On Tuesday, January 2nd, a handful of items still needed to be corrected. A punch list verification walk was performed by the authority and GGA in the Sheriff's Administration area in courts in Upper C on Wednesday, January 3rd. A handful of items still need to be corrected in these areas. Punch list verification walks will be performed by the authority and GGA, medical observation, intake, jail administration, and room 1076 in Upper C.
76 or 86?
86.
Okay.
Sorry, my eyes are getting.
That's all right, just want the record to be correct, so.
This verification will take place on Tuesday, January 16th and Wednesday, January 17th. The mock-up for Pod E in the jail area was reviewed. Hausman has been working on corrective measures. This pod will be reevaluated on Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. CCD 009 was issued on Thursday, January 11th, 2024, after GG and Authority rejected Hausman's proposed change order 114 for additional cost and time under proposal request 38. The CCD deals with omission of 1 fire damper, 1 motorized damper, and 1 diffuser in the second floor of Upper A. The Authority, GGA, and Hausman are continuing to discuss Hausman's previously requested additional time and expense for damper work, with which the Authority and GGA have expressed their disagreement. The Authority and its council continue to assess its additional costs and damages on the project and are taking the proper steps to ultimately hold the responsible parties liable for such additional costs and damages to be incurred by the Authority. Anybody else who would like a copy, we sit it up here. We've had a very long day and I appreciate everybody's time today. One of the things I'd like to do before possible, we talked about issuing a partial for the county attorney's space, court space, sheriff's office, and jail administration. And we'll be getting a note,
Say those again. Sorry, Shane.
okay, county attorney, courts, sheriff's office, jail administration. There's two reasons for this partial substantial completion. The main reason is, Kenny's got some furniture that's in storage right now that we've kept in storage.
Yep.
Storage was available till January 31st. As we continue to try to mitigate costs and everything else going on, we need to get that out of those areas. The backwalks have been completed in all those areas that we're talking about, minus jail administration and the secure space down in lower A. This secure space gets no furniture. We're gonna work tomorrow on getting the backwalk completed in the jail administration area and the corridors it would take to get the furniture. We are talking with Hausman. We gave him a deadline of end of day tomorrow to get me back to make sure that Suter in balancing for ASI 10 doesn't need to be in any of those spaces, because I don't want the contractor trying to balance diffusers standing on furniture or causing any grief there. But from our rough look at the plans and all the marks and stuff, the only areas that are affected by ASI 10 is a DARE office storeroom and some of the internal spaces where like reception and everything else and files and civil/transport is. So it looks like we have a very good spot for Kenny to get going, getting a bunch of that furniture in. And that furniture takes 4 to 5 weeks to bring it in. They'll stage it in the areas, but then they gotta come unbox it and put it together. And that's a 4 or 5 week process. So that gets the ball rolling.
Sure.
On those things. And the second reason that we're looking at doing it is Hausman needs the furniture in jail administration because there's non-county provided computers that need to be located on some of those things. And they need a place to get that up so the TVs in those rooms can share all the cameras and all the different stuff that's confidential that the sheriff's office needs to have showing for all of his deputies, okay?
And for those that don't remember, the furniture was ordered to come in time for the original completion date. And since it wasn't done, we had to rent storage, which that is damages that we have accrued. And so to try to mitigate those ongoing damages, I guess this would be a positive that we could stop paying rent. We could move the furniture into the LEC, and then we can deal with it from there. So.
That is correct. Another update to give everybody, next Wednesday at 10 o'clock, Steve Schultz, which is the insurance carrier for the county and will be the insurance carrier for the authority, is bringing out 2 possible vendors to look and walk the spaces so we can get our policies in place to insure the furniture as well as insure the space. Because once you get substantial completion, builder's risk will then come out of those spaces and it'll be underneath your purview, okay? So that is probably one of the most positive things I can give you, is as we're trying to look to getting furniture out in there, and it's gonna start looking more and more like a space, so about a month, so about the end of February, Kenny, end of February, the first part of March, Kenny will be finished with a lot of his furniture. The sheriff talked previously with you, but he's also talking about bringing people out to train out there. Kenny's got the chairs and stuff for his deputies to sit on and stuff, in master control, secondary control, and everything else. So it's part of getting that furniture out there so those people have seats and different things. There's been people from the sheriff's office out, and I appreciate the sheriff's time and all of his dedication from his office, but for probably the last month, he's had Randy Ewell and Lee Blanchard out there and others. Those are just the ones that come off the top of my mind. Chief Wingard and different things, but what they've been working through is getting all the cameras in the whole building. Remember, there's 250 of them. You gotta work on where they're aimed to, what they're seeing, what those all are and are coming in focus. So because the sheriff's office is the most person that knows what they want to see with each of these cameras, they've come out and been going through that certification process on all those cameras to make sure they're looking at what it is. And that'll take away time later on for us to have to try to go back and move them. It's doing them once. So the sheriff has had people out, and Randy, Yule, and Lee are doing a very good job of being able to buzz doors too and everything else. So they're also utilizing that time to get more familiarized with the building.
Excellent.
And again, I want to kudos to the sheriff and his team, because they've just been troopers jumping in and helping everywhere they can. It's been a very good process, and I've really appreciated the sheriff's and Kenny's hard work on anything we've tasked them with.
Great. That's excellent.
Any questions or comments? Okay, with that, we will move to item number 8, public concerns. Hearing none, we'll move to item number 9, commissioner concerns. Anything you gentlemen would like to talk about?
Nothing further for me.
I've got 3. In regards to when we, give notice or post about a meeting, if Chairman Wick or Shane, if you would, communicate better with Kenny so that we can get these claims, so he can get his claims sent up to the auditor to have stuff approved so that it can be here on time. Sometimes Kenny's cut pretty close on when he finds out when these meetings are, and so if we could try to clear that up a little better, that'd be great.
Has that been a problem?
As far as I understand, yes.
Okay.
Supervisor Radig and myself are going to visit the LEC and tour it tomorrow afternoon, 4 o'clock, so we look forward to that. And then on the FOIA request, how are we coming there? Have you been able, you've probably been busy, but have you had any time to commit to your review? Or?
So I'm going to answer that in twofold. For everybody that doesn't know, and it's not really public information, I had surgery on. I was out from work for 2 weeks. I did answer phone calls and I did walk through everything. My first day that I was released to come back to work was January 15th. My IT department has worked on getting all the emails and stuff of that nature. I have other people that are helping get some of the documents all put together. So all the emails have been grabbed, the documents will go. But it is still a very long process, and right now, I have spent all day in meetings and different things, so there's no extra time today or the other times to do it, because right now, it is a priority, but I still have to focus on ASI 10 and everything else, and spend my time working on the FOIA requests when I have downtime.
For sure.
Which will be later in this week, because it's not why I'm doing a punch list back walk and other things that are already taking up my time, okay?
For sure. Thank you.
Just to give you an idea, yesterday was a full day, today's a full day, tomorrow's going to be a full day, and Thursday's going to be a full day, so.
Yep.
Yeah,
One of the things that, sorry, this is commissioner concerns and I'm not a commissioner. May I comment on something? that
you may,
Commissioner else
go
has
for it.
said? One of the things I want to make sure everybody remembers, other than the holiday, we are having meetings, Karen, I'll work better with you, I apologize. We're going to have meetings every 2 weeks. It'll be an authority meeting, and the joint closed session will be every 2 weeks, probably from now till this project opens.
Yep.
There's so much information, as we all saw in the joint closed session, and Ron can attribute to you, time, things change daily.
Yeah.
So keeping everybody up to date is the best we can do, is to have a meeting literally every 2 weeks.
I don't know how the public could ever see how we're communicating, not only all day long, at night, on the weekends. Jody,
24/7.
I mean, yeah, I mean, this is a massive undertaking, and
And-
you're doing most of it. I mean, I'm just throwing it, but you are, and you've done a lot extra too, but we've been here almost 3.5 hours today, so it's,
Our morning started at 7:30.
there's a lot, yeah, there's a lot going on, so.
So what I might ask or request that you consider is, yes, you said you're going to have a meeting every 2 weeks. Before you finish this meeting, set that date so we can post it. And then if there's some reason you can't have that meeting, then we'll post that we're canceling the meeting. That way, everything is already set into motion.
So the next meeting would be January 30th at 2 o'clock.
I'd like to take that a step further and have about 3 months of dates listed and double-checked for holidays or anything else that might be on the calendar that we
Sure.
don't know about.
Sure.
So Karen?
And then we'll have
It's a great idea.
three months of dates.
Yep,
And-
they'll be locked in, and if you have to cancel for some reason, we just say it, we're canceling.
I think we all need to remember that the day we unlock that door for the first time will be a wonderful day, but our work's not over.
Yeah,
It's just starting.
yep,
We just start a new era.
yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Chair, Authority Member Moore,
Yes.
I want you to know that I meant to call you all day, so if you want me to call you right now, I will. If you're available for 4 o'clock tomorrow for part of that tour, because we won't be doing any authority business or anything else, we already have a great thing from Jody that says as long as we're not conducting we don't have to post the notice of gathering.
Right.
Because, so all three of you can be there at the same time. So if you'd like to come out at 4 o'clock tomorrow, I'd also love to give you a tour of the jail. I know it's very late notice, and you're a very busy person, but I would gladly do that as well.
I appreciate the offer. I have other commitments. My weeks get filled as well. So I have another commitment that I can't change, I wouldn't want to change.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
but thank you
Right,
for offering.
yeah.
And do double check that about the notice of gathering, because appearance is critical to the public. Jody,
We had her review this.
Yep.
I appreciate your review of
I mean,
this.
we could certainly, we could post the notice to, just for appearance sake, but as far as the necessity for the notice, my opinion is it's not needed. But if we wanted to, again, post it, just as a courtesy, we could post it. And Dan, I can send you another copy of that letter that I gave with my analysis that it's not needed.
Well, I appreciate what you're saying, but I would really go out of my way then not to be near Mark or Ron, because if the three of us are standing together, no one knows if we're deliberating or we're discussing a very hot item. And it just puts us in a very bad spot with the public, with the media, and I just think we have too much to lose by just simply posting a notice of gathering. I don't think it takes that much to do.
Well,
But-
we've done a very good job of avoiding each other so far.
Well, we have, and we had a meeting, Jody, one time, and somebody brought it up about we don't text each other, and that was like a firestorm. I mean, that took off like,
Yeah.
you don't text each other. Well, I want to see your texts now. And I'm thinking, here are all my texts that I've given to Mark and to Ron. None. Because I was very clear at the beginning. I said the most awkward thing about the authority, being on authority board, any board of 3 members, is you can't talk to the other members at all, ever.
Yep.
Because even if, you
I
can't-
know,
Yeah.
it is difficult. And I would say,
you can for
tomorrow,
procedure-
obviously,
Procedural questions you can, but that's it.
I haven't even done that to even
Yeah,
muddy the water,
yeah.
Nope.
yeah.
I would say you guys have done a great job. All the communication has come at me, and then I have to funnel to Ron, Ron to me, and I have to funnel to you guys. I call you, you call me.
Yeah, we do a great job, I think. But I do want to take a tour, I want to be out there, and,
About 1 month from tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
let me check my calendar. Because when I say I'm booked solid, so for example, I didn't realize our meeting, I'm not complaining, Chairman Ron, but I didn't realize this meeting was going to go this long. I'm on the phone canceling appointments that I already made. I'm not complaining, but I'm just saying, I get booked up solid during the week because I'm still working full-time.
You're a very valuable person and a very valuable attorney.
I wouldn't go that far, but I try to do the best I can on the authority and give it the attention that it needs. and I've enjoyed it, so.
Very good. Any other concerns?
I didn't pick anything up on this, did I? I forgot to pick this.
All right, item number 12 is adjourn. I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
5:28 it
Thank
is.
you.
Thanks,
And
Jody.
I'm as late as you are, Mr.
Yes,
Moore.
thank you.